What's up, baby? What's up, baby? Yeah. What's up, baby? Yeah, I'm off that green juice. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Look, no camera today. I left my. It's been so freaking cold in my house, and I leave my camera out in my office, which is not heated overnight. And I went to work, and I came back, and it's not turning on. So we're gonna let it thaw out. We're gonna see if my camera's completely cooked or not. No big deal. Um, I feel like really nothing's been going on. Well, not that nothing's been going on. We haven't really seen any setups. I haven't taken a detailed look at today. We're going to do that right now or in a few minutes. I just want to show you what's... So this is the daily chart. And I have a fun little surprise at the end of the video. Just a fun little announcement. Announcement 1, I'm off that green juice. Announcement 2, I broke my camera. Announcement 3, I still look cute even though there's no camera. Okay? But yeah, you can kind of see, like, this was election day, so that's when we had a big push up. I'm curious what's going to happen when we come back down there. Could keep going up, which is what the Nasdaq does, which is what stocks do, which is what the S&P 500 does. We could start going down. Who knows? I'm just gonna watch and listen and learn. We're below 200-day EMA, 21 day. Sorry, that would be insane. So yeah, it's been kind of. I thought maybe this push up would continue. I thought maybe this push up would continue. We did not cover this big red bar yet, so let's see. Let's see. React, guys. Don't be proactive in the market. It's gonna get you killed. I've been listening to this audio book for the second time, Trading in the Zone. Good, highly recommended psychological book. And the chapter I was listening to today at work was kind of like, let the market come to you, basically, is what I was trying to say. Um, if you try to take something from the market, if you try to take stuff from the market, you're going to get cooked. That's just not how the market works. Sit there, be available, make yourself available to the market. It's, fellas, for my fellas out there, it's kind of like, looking for a lady at a party. I used to be a young man once, looking for a lady at a party. You gotta just sometimes you gotta kind of act kind of chill, like you don't really care that much. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? If I was your dad, I would tell you that. I didn't see this on my. Maybe I did. This could be a little different from the web. I was looking at the web Ninja Trader, but this was Monday. Looking at the 1 minute on the NQ. Yeah, this is Monday. That's not bad actually. It's not great. You're making higher highs, but then you do kind of start this thing that looks kind of like a downtrend here with this lower high. Excuse me. This is your low after the formation of the zone, so it does break through that pretty solidly, come down, and actually, well, okay, here's the deal. If you look at it like this and you decide this is a good entry for you, which it's not great, and you take that, this is one of those this jeepers demand zone. I can't say supply or demand zone. Just know that I'm talking about a zone when I say that shit, okay? Any zone. Really doesn't matter. There's a little bit of wick up there, so I don't like that. I don't love that. But you do got a wick on the bottom too. So yeah, obviously if you put your stop down the bottom here, you're going to get stopped out real quick. But if you put your stop down here, it's going to be a little scary for a minute, and then it's going to take you up. Oh my God, I'm looking at the 1 minute. That's why. Oops. So there's a good setup for you on the 1 minute there. What does that look like on the 5 minute? Nothing. Just not a. Well, it looks like just a little flip a doodle of that. You close above that red, but you do again. You get that big old wick on top, and you're below this thing. That's why I was thinking I didn't like that. So on the 5 minute, I wouldn't take that. Maybe if this didn't have a wick, maybe if it was above the EMA, but no, that's not good on the 5 minute. And it seems kind of illogical to have just looked at it on the 1 minute and be like, this looks great. Then just change time frames and be like, oh, this sucks. Um, I'm trying to play by the rules. I'm not trying to retroactively kind of back test and be like, oh, if I had done this, it would have, you know, it would have worked out. I didn't do that. I wasn't looking at the 1 minute. I don't look at the 1 minute these days. So no use in. If you do look at that 1 minute, that was great. Good for you. Blah 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 blah, and then we just turn into a. You might draw this zone out, but you're already at 4, so nothing there. January 14th, that's Tuesday. That is yesterday. Here we go to 9 o'clock. We had a big push up. The past 3 days we've been getting like big fat bars like this that kind of seem a little out of place. I think markets. I think it's. I don't know. This is just speculation, but we had Jimmy Carter, rest in peace, last week. So markets were closed. That kind of threw a wrench in things. I guess we're recovering from that big push up from the election, so who knows. This was an interesting one because you get this okay zone. Not beautiful, but you do get a big fat push up there pre-market. Again, this is like, I don't know if there was news here, so if there was news here, just maybe ignore this. But we're also straddling the EMA, so that's what I really don't like about this. We're straddling the EMA. You can see how it just looks like a range. So I'm not crazy about that. It's just this weird kind of like blocky price action, There we go. That's what a freaking range should look like. Something like that. But if you want to actually look at this bar forming a demand zone, you do get 2 wicks, so pretty good rejection. Still a wick on top. But again, we're straddling the EMA. This isn't great action here. It's not really going higher up. It bounces off the EMA a couple times and just fails to go up. So we don't have a lot of conviction that it's going north. Again, if you're a psychopath, if you're crazy, not actually, I'm kidding, but if you're risky, if you want to be risky, if you're a little itchy, because this week there just hasn't been a lot of trading opportunity like since last Monday or Tuesday. Let's say you want to just take the 1-to-1 on the zone, stop loss below the zone. You can indeed do that if you want to play a little. But here's the other thing: in terms of like actual quantity, this is also risky. But also, since I formed that neuron about switching over to micros, you could just go over there and take like 2 or 3 micro contracts, and that's not that bad. So you have 75 points of risk. It just gets you out. If you try to target this high, you're out of luck. But yeah, so that's a funny one. Kind of depends on how you're feeling. I'd be careful about that because you can really, especially in like this past 2 weeks, you can not see anything and not see your setup, and then kind of get a little itchy. And when you get itchy, you make bad decisions. I don't think you should really want to trade, honestly. I don't think you should want to take trades more than you have to. If you've got a month without a setup, okay, let's start looking and see if we can scalp. But that's so unlikely. Yeah, that's very unlikely. It just, that's what the adaptation part of the market is. Adapt, tweak your setup. If you're being picky and if you're being a good boy most of the time, maybe your win rate is going to be really high, and you can afford to take a few points and say, I'm just going to play with these. I'm going to be risky with this. Maybe you just scale down with the micros, That was yesterday. There's different dimensions of what you can do here, fellas. So I haven't looked at this yet. You have tools in your toolbox, right? You can mitigate risk. It's the brain part that gets tough, right? It's the mind part. So I would mark this out. And again, I've seen the overall structure. I have not really looked at this. So frankly, I'm conflicted. And I didn't look at this while I was working today. But so what do we get? We get a good rejection wick of this demand zone, not supply zone. But it is red. I've seen this kind of red candle and vice versa that looks bullish, but if you actually look at where it closes comparatively, I don't know. Wick alone isn't always enough to be convincing and to make the move happen. So, and not to mention this price action, just like kind of caterpillaring its way down here. I really couldn't decide what to do for a while. So if I was being a good boy, I would say I wouldn't take this. That's if I'm being a good boy. And followed by this too, where you can't push above the open, you can't push above the high. This does not bode well. This candle right here, it's basically a doji candle, but then you get this. So, and if you wanted to, again, like if we're being super strict, just the zones need to be untapped. So that means this counts as a tap, this counts as a tap, this counts as a tap. So on the third tap, technically you should not be taking a trade. But if you're trying to justify this trade, again, if you're a little itchy, you are getting higher lows. You did finally break above these candles. I don't know. Maybe instead of buying in at a market on this close, you set a limit buy up here, and you buy in when this guy pops up. Hypothetically. And so let's call that, jeepers. Let's call that, again, I'm kind of just by default, I'm setting my stop in my head below the zone now, because I feel like that's what we've been seeing works out lately. Your 1-to-1 is 106 points. That's a lot of points. If you're aiming for the high, 119. Works out for you. I don't think it takes off. It's like it just turns into aftermarket, and then yeah, I'm not even going to measure that whole move because it's just. I'm trying to be a good boy, guys. I'm trying to rehabilitate myself. I'm listening to this audiobook. I'm paying attention. I'm letting the market come to me. I'm just letting it happen, okay? I'm not perfect, but, you know, we do kind of get a little bit of a zone here. Not a good, that's not a good wick, but even if you set it like, even if you set the top of the zone up there, doesn't really touch down. So no touch on that. This is like kind of a stretch too, but no touch on that. And then just draw them out. Just draw all of them out. Imagine, how would you react if you saw it touch that in that manner? Obviously, no. Obviously, bad. Negative. Yeah, that's kind of it, though. That's the last few days. Again, I was just kind of waiting for something to happen. I was hoping we were going to get a day that had a lot of movement. We just didn't. Well, that's not true. Obviously, you can see we had a bunch of movement. We didn't have movement that makes sense for us, for this strategy of supply and demand. One touch, 1 5-minute candle. And dude, I'm sure maybe you had some entries on the 1 minute. Nice. Great. I'm not looking at the 1 minute right now. As we saw earlier. This is one that kind of looks, we've seen it break below the zone and then still go higher. That's usually I feel like sometimes that happens when there's those big liquidity grabs, but this doesn't look good, especially with this nice wick on top. That doesn't look great to go higher. And on top of that, just the big move that you just had. All right, that's that. Look at this. What does that look like? Does that look like a shitty? Does that look like a shitty footprint chart? Yeah, buddy. Downloaded Sierra chart, the trial version. But I'm probably going to try to see if I can get some cheap data and look at NQ on here. I know a lot of people don't like NQ for trading footprint charts, but I'm just trying to. My plan really is to use this as confirming entries. And who knows, maybe I'll end up going back down to, I'll look at 5-minute zones and go back down to 1 minute to look for entries. Maybe I'll try to make a little scalping creature off of this kind of thing, But I'm excited about this. I just figured out that you can look at this for free. You can look at what I'm looking at right now for free. I didn't pay for any of this shit. You need to pay for up-to-date data. You need to pay. They only give you a certain amount of, certain instruments, this isn't even ES. This is micro ES. Euro, gold, couple others that don't really matter. But you know what? Trade whatever you want. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I don't mean that. And look right here. I didn't pick this out, but you kind of have these. These are points of controls. Dude. Okay. Well, look. These is like points of controls. These are highlighted. Volume at price. This is where the most volume occurred at price. You can see it's all happening in this area. What price goes up? What happens when it comes back down? It bounces off of that same exact level. Look at that. So I'm going to be looking at stuff. I printed out a bunch of, I use my work printer to print out a bunch of pages of a PDF in color too. But I did use double-sided, so don't get too mad at me. What are we gonna use the work printer for? Where everything's email. Don't fire me. but you see, I mean, and then you see a gap in the point of control. But yeah, it'll be fun to kind of get into this stuff. We can do some videos. We can do some back testing together. We can sip some hot chocolate. You know, I'm excited about this. I'm excited. This is the next step. And I think what happens in a lot of traders' journeys is they kind of try everything. And this is something that I kind of knew about before I listened to the book, but the book reinforces this in a different way. What the book says is, essentially the book says, like, new traders will try to avoid pain by thinking that they can avoid losses by analyzing the shit out of the market. And they're thinking, okay, I'm losing. The more it's because I don't know, it's because I'm new and I don't know about the market. The more I learn about the market, the more intricacies, and this is like kind of as granular as the market gets, is the footprint and looking at the actual what happened with the bid and ask. But that's just over analysis. It's like analysis paralysis. So why am I still doing it? Because I do have some faith that it's going to give me valuable information. At the same time, I fully am prepared for it to screw up my trading or provide nothing and just be a diversion of resources, of mental resources, and then just scale back to pure price action, like we look at it on this channel. But I'm going to do it anyways. I want to try this out. I don't think there's much else at this. I don't know if I would call myself like a journeyman trader. I don't know where I am in my journey, honestly. Like, sometimes I feel like a beginner. Sometimes whatever. It's not like a ladder. You go up, and it is a ladder, but you go up and down. So, and the ladder doesn't end. The ladder has no top. You don't get to the top in trading. But you can find a place on the ladder, a rung that works for you. That rung maybe pays you a lot of money, but you don't have to worry too much when you're at that rung. Maybe your rungs above you pay more money, but then you lose your hair because you're freaked out because you're trading 1 billion contracts. There's rungs below you where you could carry even less, but then you wouldn't feed your family, So yeah, this kind of flies in the face of keep it simple, but I'm going to try it out. I want to experiment. I think going forward with this kind of thing, the most important thing, and this is advice to you, sir, the most important thing, I think you should explore avenues in trading, because I think you need to figure out obviously you need to figure out what works for you. Trading is like quasi infinite. You can use any number of blah, 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 blah indicators. A lot of them are bullshit, whatever. But the bottom line is it's effectively infinite, and you need to just pull together the parts that work for you. And once you find those parts, there might be 2 of them, there might be 5 of them, there might be 3 of them. Whatever it is, it's going to work for you. I think keep going until you exhaust that effort. I think it's important to know what, like, the balance of like what's too much effort, what's too much analysis, and what's just enough to work for you with the right risk profile. But when you're going about it, I just talked myself out of my point. I don't know what I was going to say. When you're going about it, this is the big thing, because this has fucked me up a lot. I get, especially because like I have ADHD and I see something shiny and I'm like, nice, that's it. That's got to be it. That's got to be it. Let's try it. Let's do it right now. And I start taking a half-assed, half-baked section of the new type of analysis that I'm using. And I try to apply it to my current analysis that might be working for me, and I lose my shit. when I started trading this supply and demand thing, dude, in the summer, maybe it was just a good market for it. I don't know. I had like 6 weeks of almost no losses. Like I was doing really well. It probably wasn't that much, but it's on this channel. Go back and look at it. It's like the first 3 videos, whatever. But I've done really well with just the price action supply and demand trading. The second I try to include, I think a few videos ago, specifically, I was learning about order flow, and I tried to include volume, like delta, and I looked at delta, and this was like right at the end of my eval. I looked at, this might have been the last trade of my eval. I looked at delta and drew a half-baked conclusion, which if I had just looked at price action, I probably would have stayed out of the trade. And that conclusion, I think, was the last trade in my account. I think it exploded. So do your research, do your exploration, discover new forms of analysis, think about the way that you think about trading, but 100% make sure you compartmentalize what's working right now from what you're exploring in your trading. So as I continue to look at price action on the simulator, I will not be thinking about order flow or volume at all. After the market's closed, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say, what happened here with order flow? Let me take a little zoom in, you know. I'm going to back test. I'm going to see there's a lot of concepts. I'm excited. You know, and now I'm just talking.
Oh, yeah. It's all coming together.
So, yeah. Enjoy the rest of your week coming out of this holiday. Hope we all had a good New Year. Hope we're staying safe. Just do your job.